everybody, it's Miss Debbie at the Brookfield Library. We just wanted to let you know that this month, April, is National Poetry Month. And in honor of National Poetry Month, Miss Meg and I thought we would share some of our favorite poetry with you. So today I'm going to read a selection by Shel Silverstein from his book called Don't Bump the Glump and Other Fantasies. This book was a favorite when my kids were young, so I hope you enjoy it too. This one's called There's a Gretchen in My Kitchen. There's a scaver-backed Gretchen who lives in my kitchen and makes his home under the sink. And he lives upon gipes that crawl out of the pipes, and he takes only postum to drink. He's friends with the lubbard who dwells in my cupboard, and often at night after dark, they will sit on the stove and converse with the scrove and catch a few skink for a lark. Then they'll call into the blossets who creep from the faucets. They'll sit on the tea kettle's brim, and the slithery scarbage crawl out of the garbage and jump in the soup for a swim. He'll sing with the wispies who live in Rice Krispies and serve them my cheese and sardines. And they call to the Zocks in the old napkin box to come down and play bridge in the beans. Then he may run a race to the silverware case with the gruppy who drinks all my beer. And he'll dance with the muffin inside of my oven and whisper sweet sounds in her ear. For the Gretchen's in love with the muffin, poor boy, but she loves the backbiting Smee. Or is it the Jace? Well, in any case, I'm glad you could make it for tea.
Okay. I'd like to share a poem with you by one of my favorite authors, and this is from Where the Sidewalk Ends, the Poems and Drawings of Shel Silverstein. And this one's called Ickle Me, Pickle Me, Tickle Me Too. Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too. Went for a ride in a flying shoe. Hooray, what fun, it's time we flew, said Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too. Ickle was captain and Pickle was crew, and Tickle served coffee and mulligan stew. As higher and higher and higher they flew, Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too. Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too, over the sun and beyond the blue. Hold on, stay in, I hope we do, cried Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too. Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too, never returned to the world they knew. And nobody knows what's happened to dear Ickle me, pickle me, tickle me too.
Our next poem is from Jack Perletsky's book called Be Glad Your Nose is on Your Face. This one's called I'm Being Abducted by Aliens. I'm being abducted by aliens and I'm not enjoying the ride. They simply appeared in their saucer and beamed me directly inside. It's creepy and weird in this saucer, a strange sort of purplish brown. I can't tell the floor from the ceiling. In fact, I might be upside down. The aliens have odd little bodies, a cross between melons and eggs. Their hands end in hundreds of tendrils. They don't seem to have any legs. They don't seem to have any noses. They don't seem to have any eyes. Instead, on their heads are medallions that keep changing color and size. They're feeding me gloppy concoctions that taste even worse than they look. I guess since they're totally mouthless, they don't need to know how to cook. They haven't revealed where we're going or why we're taking this tour. This unannounced alien abduction is making me feel insecure. As we hurtle on through the cosmos, I'm breathing unbreathable air, yet all my complaints go unheeded. My alien abductors don't care. But now I have a pressing dilemma that simply cannot be ignored. I'm dying to go to the bathroom. They don't seem to have one on board.
My next poem is also a Shel Silverstein poem, and it's from his book, A Light in the Attic. And it's called How Many, How Much? How many slams in an old screen door? Depends on how loud you shut it. How many slices in a bread? Depends on how thin you cut it. How much good inside a day? Depends on how good you live 'em. How much love inside a friend? Depends on how much you give 'em.
Here's another one from Be Glad Your Nose is on Your Face by Jack Prelutsky, and it's called Be Glad Your Nose is on Your Face. I don't know if you can see this picture, but this is a picture of a nose on your foot. Be glad your nose is on your face, not pasted on some other place, for if it were where it is not, you might dislike your nose a lot. Imagine if your precious nose were sandwiched in between your toes. That clearly would not be a treat, for you'd be forced to smell your feet. Your nose would be a source of dread were it attached atop your head. It soon would drive you to despair, forever tickled by your hair. Within your ear your nose would be an absolute catastrophe, for when you were obliged to sneeze, your brain would rattle from the breeze. Your nose instead, through thick and thin, remains between your eyes and chin, not pasted on some other place. Be glad your nose is on your face.
All right. Our last poem is from the book My Dog May Be a Genius by Jack Prelutsky. And this is one of my absolute favorite poems, and it's called I'm Going to the Library. I'm going to the library and moving very slow, despite the fact that it's a place I've always liked to go. But I'm not looking forward now to being there at all, and that is why I'm heading there at practically a crawl. I'm going to the library, and I'm a bit afraid. It's all because of one mistake I've accidentally made. I'm filled with trepidation mixed with downright misery, convinced that the librarian is furious with me. I know that I'm in trouble, so I'm in a frantic state. I also know it's all my fault, and I deserve my fate. I'm going to the library and shaking through and through. The book I'm finally bringing back, it's 4 years overdue. I hope none of you out there have books that are 4 years overdue. Next time you're in the library, we would really, really love to see you check out some of our favorite poets in our poetry section. And we hope you enjoyed this selection of poems that Miss Debbie and I shared with you for National Poetry Month. Take care, be well, and we hope to see you soon.